Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be dewinterizing my Casita Travel trailer. I couldn't find any videos online on this, so I figured I'd make one. I'm starting off by replacing the anno rod. You might not need to do that if yours is in good condition, but mine was pretty much shot the last time I looked at it, so I'm going to start off by pulling out this anno rod right here. And then I'm going to wrap some Teflon tape around the new one and reinstall. Using a 27mm. I don't think that's the exact size, but it worked, so that's what I'm using. This is what my anno rod looked like. A little bit on it, but definitely not enough for another season. There's quite a bit of residue in there, so I think what I'm going to try to do is flush it out a few times before I put the new one in. So to flush it out, I'm just going to put my hose up in it and just kind of put some water in there, and then I'm going to let it drain out. There's a bunch of white stuff in there. So I'm going to do that 3 times. So I got a ton of white material out of there. One tip is to do this release valve while you're doing this. Otherwise, when you pull the hose out, it's going to blow up in your face. I figured that out the hard way so that you don't. Once you're done doing this, obviously put the release valve back down so that the hot water heater can pressurize. Okay, so I'm going to start off by unscrewing this and making sure that any antifreeze is out of the tank. Casita does recommend that you tilt the trailer back, so I'm going to be raising the trailer a little bit as well. So I'm just going to let that drain. So it doesn't need to be too much, but I'm just raising up the travel trailer right now to tilt it backwards because the drain is in the back. Next, I'm going to be filling this up. Online says to do it 1/3 of the way, but since the Casita, you add the antifreeze through the freshwater tank, I'm going to give the freshwater tank a few flushes before I run it through the sink. So I'm just going to fill this up about 1/3 of the way full, and then I'm going to flush it again about 3 times just to make sure that I'm getting any antifreeze out of here before I start running it through the sink, just to make sure I get everything. I'm not sure if you can see, but all this white stuff came out of the hot water heater, so I would definitely recommend flushing it if you see anything in there. Put some comments in if there's a reason why you shouldn't be doing that. I have it about 1/3 of the way full, and I'm going to just drain it out of here just to make sure I'm getting any residual antifreeze out. Yeah, as you can see, that's still a little bit pink, so definitely a good idea. I'm just doing this, I'm just turning on the hose and just letting it flush out this way. And then I'll fill it up one last time and flush it out just to be safe. I filled the freshwater tank all the way up. Now I'm just going to drain it one more time. This is not completely necessary, but definitely doesn't hurt to ensure you get all that antifreeze out before you start trying to flush out your line. Okay, as you're waiting for that water to drain, it's good to look in the other compartments just to make sure that everything looks right. I'm looking in the battery compartment right now, and I noticed that this bolt was loose, and then this one had completely fallen out, and I lost this top part, so I'll have to go get a replacement. I wrapped the anno rod with nylon tape, and now I'm going to reinstall it. I'm going to hand tighten it, and then tighten it with a wrench 1/4 of a turn to a 1/2 of a turn. I'm probably going to go with a 1/2. Now that I have flushed out the tank, I refilled it about 1/3 of the way full. Probably don't even need it that much because I don't have a toilet in this model. And I'm just going to go inside and turn on the pump. Heard people on the group mention that they've developed leaks over the winter. So if you turn on the pump and it continuously runs, I would turn it back off immediately and check for leaks. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Right, so it pressurized, and now I'm going to move my dehumidifier. These electric dehumidifiers are nice. I might get 2 of them actually. And I'm just going to go ahead and run the water. I'm going to continue to run it until I don't see any more pink stuff coming out. I just had the cold water on, turned the hot water on too, and a little bit more antifreeze came out, so I'd make sure that you do both. After letting run for a minute, I looked at all my piping down here and underneath the sink, just to make sure I do not see any sort of leaking or pooling of water. I don't see anything, so I'm going to continue with the dewinterization and flushing out the outside shower lines. Another way to tell if you have any sort of leak is after you have pressurized the system, you wait about 10 minutes, then you turn the pump back on, and you shouldn't hear any sort of pumping sound. If you do, that indicates you could possibly have a leak. Okay, next I'm going to be turning on both the hot and cold water on the outside shower and doing the same thing that I did on the inside, and just letting it run until I don't see any sort of pink. So I'm going to do this for about 1 minute with both the hot and cold on. Once the hot water heater is bypassed currently, it's a good time to sanitize your system as well as part of the dewinterization. You should be using unscented bleach and using 1/4 cup per 15 gallons of water. My Casita's water tank is 16 gallons, so I'm just going to be using 1/4 cup for the 16 gallons because it's close enough. So I'm just going to put it in here, fill this up with water, and then I'm going to fill the tank halfway with water, pour this in, and then fill it up the other half to mix it. Before I add the bleach, I'm going to fill the tank back up so that it's halfway full. I'm checking the water level as it fills by looking in this compartment. Right now it's about 1/4 of the way through. I know I said half, but I'll probably let it get closer to 3/4 of the way before I put in the bleach solution and then fill it the rest of the way up in order to mix it in the tank. I also made this little funnel by cutting the bottom off of a water bottle to aid in pouring in the bleach solution. With my homemade funnel in place, I'm now going to tilt the trailer forward so that the water doesn't go back, and I'm going to pour in the bleach solution. I can't do it while I'm filming. With the bleach solution poured in, I'm now filling the tank completely filled the rest of the way with fresh water. My hopes is that it will mix it in the tank, and then I will start running it through the faucet as well as the hose. So now I'm going to do similar to what I did before, and I'm going to run both the hot and cold until I smell bleach. I'm going to do the same for the outside shower. I'm going to run both the hot and the cold for about 5 to 10 seconds each until I smell bleach. Please keep in mind that the hot water heater has been bypassed this entire time. I have not unbypassed it at any point in this process. Also, the Casita does not have low point drains, so you do not need to drain that. So now that I have all the lines filled, I'm going to let it sit for 4 to 10 hours, and then I'm going to drain it, and then I'm going to flush it with fresh water. It's been 5 hours, and I'm draining the main water tank again. Then I'm going to fill it up with fresh water, drain it again, and I'll do that twice, and then I'll run the fresh water through each of the lines. And before I did this, I tilted the trailer back again so that the water shifted to the back. Now that I've flushed the water tank of all the bleach, filled it up with fresh water, I'm going to run each of these faucets again until I don't smell any bleach smell. I also ran the fresh water through the shower, and that pretty much concludes the dewinterization. I drained the water tanks, I turned off the water pump, and now I'll just check my tire pressure and I should be good to go. Thank you for tuning in, and if this was useful for you, please like and subscribe.